guys. We were thinking of showing you a bit what we've been doing recently, what we're working on. You've seen some of that in the presentation, in the EVE keynote that Torve did yesterday, and there is also a few more things in the presentation that we want to show you. There you go. So what's cooking in the art kitchen at CCP? Well, as you know, we're working on launchers and missiles, so that's something we're going to show you a few more things on that topic in the presentation now. Of course, we're working on effects as well. That's something that has been going on for a while, not only on the effects themselves, but also on the effect system. So that's why we're not always going as fast as we would want, but it's a lot of work also under the hood, and we'll show you some prototypes of what we're doing at the moment. Ships redesign and the V3 project, of course, going on and going pretty well. We have a few more samples to show you today, and we can discuss that later. And a few things also around the avatars, that some of them that Torve showed you, and a couple of things that we have also extra there. I also wanted to take the opportunity to show you the whole art team. That's basically the group that is now working on EVE, so mix of concept artists, 3D artists, technical artists. You could add to that group also a bunch of graphics programmers, QA people, and so on. So that's all the people that are making all the eye candy that you're enjoying so much. And now the same group sorted by eye color, because I realized that in our internal phone book there is a function where you can sort people by eye color, and I thought it could be interesting. So let's look at the missiles and what we have today. So basically today, if you're looking at your launchers, that's pretty much the result of the examination. But what we want to do, and what we've shown you already yesterday, is something a bit more interesting in terms of looks, functionality, realism, and so on. So we're working on the missiles themselves, on the launchers, and on all the effects that go around it. We've done all the concepts has been done already. The modeling is very well is going very well, and we're close to completion. You've seen some of the result in the clip that Torve was showing yesterday. I'm just going to go through here. I don't know if you guys want to say anything about the launchers and the design, or if you want to wait for after. Okay. Sounds great. So I'm going to go through a bit the different types here. As you can see, we have different stages. Some of them are at the concept stage. Some of them are shown as models as well.
Are you showing some of the animations later?
Sorry?
Are you showing some of the missile animations?
No.
Okay.
You did?
Yeah.
No. Here is one of the early stages of one of the launchers. We're much further than that at the moment, and here is a snapshot of the different types with textures and so on fitted on a ship. And you've seen them animated yesterday, so I'm not going to show that again. Here is another view of the missiles themselves. You can see the different scales and the design of the individuals. Do you have anything? I don't know if you guys know. Torve, Ausger? Nothing special?
You can see the Citadel, like large missiles there. I don't know, are they as big as an Apollo rocket or like an ICBM? These are huge, and the launcher itself.
Yes, we don't see the scale there.
Yeah.
They're at least as tall as Harpa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important that they have fins.
For
yes. Balance.
Exactly.
Well, I guess missiles in space could be designed like bricks, but I just don't find it very cool.
There's also just for keeping balance, and also we're also redesigning the explosions themselves. So we're not just doing the launchers. We decided to take the entire thing. So it is the like you see here, it's the launchers, it's the explosions, it's the trails that follow, that come out of the missiles, the way that the missile kind of moves, and the animations of when the missiles are shooting out. You actually are not seeing that in the video because those are not ready. And the explosions are.
The effects, like the missile effects and explosions, are actually going to hit like hard or damage points like turrets. They're not going to be in the center of the ship anymore. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And also the look of the explosions is now determined by the damage type of the missile itself. That will also account for the sound of the missile itself. So you can see very clearly whether it's like an EM missile or whether it's doing thermal damage or kinetic.
But we're also going to reduce the size of them a little bit, so they won't be, you'll still see your ship.
I do have a video. We're going to show you a few things. It's very much R&D. It's screen capture straight from the graphics programmers or the technical artists and the artists working on that. So there is no final art direction. There is no technical polishing in it. We haven't looked even for some of them into performance and so on. But it's the work that we're putting in place to move forward. So here is a little video. This one is showing you more the way the missiles behave in space.
We're also looking at breaking them up. Right now, when you group your launchers, you actually fire one missile, which does like n times the damage of a regular missile. And we're looking at trying to split them apart, of course, and make them look more like this.
Sorry? We can actually start playing Caldari.
Yes.
And explosions as well is something that we're looking into. Explosions that are, for most of them, being redone, and also looking into the different type of damage linked to it and so on. So that's something we've been doing a lot of work, just gathering references, doing concept art even. We have guys basically drawing and painting explosions to help the visual effects artists achieving what the art director and the team wants to give. So I'm going to show you here another video, which is also same deal. The explosions are not even at scale compared to the ship on that video. Everything is very much work in progress and exploration. So here's a quick look at what it could look like.
Yes, this was like an early stage of the explosions. We've already gone a little bit further with it.
We're also looking at other things that are probably for a bit further in the future, but that the artists and especially the technical artists have been working on and looking at. This one we're going to show you also a small video here, which is once again very experimental. And have a look. Just look at it. So you can see that the damage here is localized also. Don't look too much at the explosion themselves and the shock wave and so on. It's not... And there is more.
Just to mention before you click onto it, this trick is done through texture mapping, cube mapping. This is actually not geometry, these are textures. Very clever shader programming that's going on there.
And here is another evolution of the same kind of idea. Again, a video that is totally low res and experimental, but to show you a bit the kind of things that we're looking at.
This is so totally missing people like being sucked out into the cold vacuum of space. Like a little particle generator, just spewing them out, like snowflakes. Maybe it's just me.
And ship redesigns and V3. That's of course, the ship redesign is something that we've been talking quite a bit about. We've shown already a lot of the, well, you've seen some of the ships, and we've shown also a bunch of the concept art. The V3, we're going to look at some of them afterwards. The V3 program is going pretty well. It's we knew it was going to be a long effort, and it is, but it's moving forward pretty well. I think Torve, you showed some of those yesterday, right? So I'm just going to go through a lineup of the Amar, and then a few more after that, just for the fun of watching it. So the idea behind that was a bit to show you, and maybe we can elaborate. I mean, of course, when we're doing the V3 project, it opens a lot of possibilities in terms of skinning and decals and so on. We've talked about that very often. And we're actually redoing the entire line of all the faction and corporation variations for all of the ships. So basically, even if you don't see all of them in game yet, at the moment, we're actually building up the entire fleet with all the possible variations, hence the more crazy colors in there, which is quite interesting, I think. Yeah, I like it. So now you could start flying Caldari to enjoy the launchers, and Galante to have a sports car. It's perfect. I'm going to show you also a bit of the ship redesigns. This is really going on across all the races at the moment, and we're piling up a lot of concept art, just working on the different things. I don't know, Oscar, maybe a few things?
Whenever a concept artist has extra time, when he's might be waiting for a modeler to do a block out, then he goes into like redesigning some old ships and preparing them for modeling. And in some cases, it was necessary to redesign them, since the stealth launchers will carry like huge siege launchers, stealth bombers. We had to change the shape of them. This is the bomb under the stealth bomber. It's going to be visible at all times.
We might note that bombs will actually have their own fixed point, so they are, they will always be on the same place under the ship.
And we have also a few new things, like the salvage drone that you probably saw yesterday as well already, which is moving forward pretty well. And then a few things about the avatars that we're also working on. I mean, this is, of course, like all the rest, very much a work of collaboration with the other teams and teams working on the design as well, the game designer on it. So on the avatars, the few things that we've had.
Ooh,
look at that. The sleeve tattoos, we talked about them last year actually, and they're finally in. That's pretty nice actually. And besides that, we're doing also other things. We're looking at the skin tones, just offering a wider range and more variation. Oscar, maybe you have some things to say about why and how we're doing that?
Well, we always wanted to have a wider range in the beginning, but there were like technical issues with that. We fixed that.
And then another thing is the bloodline blending as well, which is something that we started to experiment with when we were actually redoing all the characters.
Forbidden love.
Sorry?
This is forbidden love. This is the forbidden fruit, the blending of Amar and Minmatar. That's what Eve needed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here, for example, if you take a typical Brutor and an Amar without any sculpting, that's the base characters, and if you blend that DNA, you end up with a mix completely in the middle. So there is absolutely no sculpting or no modification besides mixing the two DNAs to end up with this result here in the middle.
It's a man baby.
Same for the females, same experiment here. And that's pretty much it. So now if you have questions or things you want to discuss, please. I don't know how is the microphone situation. I think you just have to shout, if I remember well. Why does the purifier look the same?
What you're seeing of the purifier is in a different stage than all the other ones. So it's actually before we enlarged it and made it fit the launchers. So it's an earlier design. It's going to change a lot. Does that answer your question?
With the new missiles and launcher designs, are you going to change the icons as well for the ammunition and the launchers? Because I know when you redesign the models for turrets, you redesign the like the market icons, and there was a big outcry because of that. Will you be doing the same for missiles and launchers as well?
Initially, we're not going to be doing rendered icons. We actually like the representative icons, the 2D icons, which are painted for the missile launchers. However, you will be able to get a preview of both the launchers and the ammo in the same manner that you can get a turret preview today. So you can click on it and see it spin and see it unfold in the info window. And same for the missile, you can see it and enjoy its vertical nature.
So I'm assuming that you guys worked on the new rookie ships. Is the new Reaper representative of a more curvy Minotaur line than what we are used to? Because the new Reaper doesn't fit in my vision of what a Minotaur ship is. It's too curvy. I mean, there are the wings and whatnot, but it's too blended, it seems.
You think the new Reaper is too curvy? Well, it's certainly not what we want, I would say. I think we're trying to be faithful to the original vision, but I'll take it into consideration. Yeah.
We don't know which of one of the guys you're uploading, so.
Okay, now we do.
Okay, now we do.
Have you been doing any work on celestial objects in space, like in scanning down sites that just look like piled up pause modules with funny names, but and the texture on things like that? Some of them look like they're untextured and just a pile up of some things.
Can you repeat the question? There's a lot of acoustics here are really bad for the performers. So move the mic away or something like that. We couldn't hear what you said.
You know, like when you are scanning down sites, you get these things that you salvage places out in space, and the things that are supposed to look like buildings and things like that are like piled up pause modules with this name. Have you been trying to redesign the things in celestial things in space?
Yeah, you're talking about redesigning celestials and POSs.
Yes, and instead of having just piled up POS modules, trying to make things that are...
Well, I mean, that's a bigger discussion. Christopher mentioned yesterday that we actually are thinking about overhauling the entire POS system, and in that overhaul, that would entail complete remodeling of most of the modules because you would assemble them in a different way. We've just placed it on what we call a design runway, which means that designers are looking at it or starting to look at it. And we haven't committed to a special date for when to release it or exactly how it will function. But you're right. I mean, the world objects and the POSs are things that we haven't really taken a look at again, since we upgraded the models in Trinity.
And this is not yet on the art side, so. But V3 does not only go for ship. I mean, we need to do world objects. We need to do capital ships. We
have to do all of them,
basically.
Like we mentioned yesterday, because we want to upgrade the lighting model inside the game, and that really can't be done properly until most of the objects, like also the asteroids, for example, have been V3'd. Or there's only some things are going to be like really coolly lit, and the others are going to look like not cool.
For a number of people, their visual identity when they created their characters back in the day was very much who they were. And with the new character creator, they were forced into a bloodline that didn't quite look like something they wanted for themselves, like very pure females especially. Do you plan to have any of this character blending, race blending, or any change of bloodline to accommodate the fact that we don't look like we would like to look?
Yeah, I mean, what we are looking at, EVE is a very open-ended game. I mean, and one of the reasons we removed a lot of the kind of dampened out the difference in attributes and evened out like starting skills and so on with the races, when we were redoing the NPE, is because it's whether you roll a Kaldari or a Galente after like several months of playing or several years, it actually really doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter because you can just define your own path. And in the same spirit, we are looking at the option of allowing you to actually completely overhaul your look, as if we call it omniplasty, for those who are into South Park. Actually just totally redoing, and there's even talk of like gender change for the right price. So, because you can do it today, why couldn't you do it in the future?
Hi, I have two questions. The first is, I know you're looking at tweaking the HUD a bit, and I'm wondering, have you thought of whether it could be modular in some way? I mean, we could add additional information potentially, and for me, for example, for myself, I would love to have a tracking indicator to show how close I am to being able to track or not, but I'm sure there's other extras that certain pilots would like, and I just wonder, the HUD is looking rather dated now as well, so.
I would answer, but I can't hear.
The reverb is terrible with the microphone. Maybe you could repeat without the microphone just for us.
Yeah, I was just saying that I know you're looking at the HUD a bit, at the design of the HUD. I know it's it's the very old element in the design, and I'm wondering if you're considering more modular ways of adjusting it to a pilot preference. For example, I would love to have a tracking indicator on the target to see whether I'm tracking or not, or how close, but I'm sure there's lots of other sort of data that the client knows that could be shown in the HUD.
Absolutely, and it's stored away in some horrible tab in the overview. That's actually kind of outside the realm of, that's more in the realm of UI than art right now. I can tell you that we are looking at a HUD revamp that's also on a design runway, and we are looking at it both just the HUD and doing a more tactical overview, being able to switch to a more tactical view of the battlefield. These are things that are simply being concepted and designed. We don't have anything actual or committed dates on it, but tracking is a great example of something that should be, you should be able to turn it on and off and see it more clearly, especially when people are getting into turrets. It's one of the things that, you have to know, and we don't push that information well enough to people.
The other question is that all the ships look great, but a lot of the time when we play, you can't see the ships very well. And I'm wondering if you'd look at more I guess, like a dynamic camera systems where maybe your ship and the target ship would be shown and the camera would adjust ongoing, or other ideas around how the camera angle could be automated to show the ships better than they are now.
Did you not have the cinema camera?
No.
All right. We didn't put it into the presentation.
But we have some work going on with a cinematic camera, a camera that could be triggered actually, for much more dynamic views and much more appropriate to what's happening exactly, and not completely by default. We're working on that.
We have tech definitely for doing something like that, and we've spent some R&D time in investigating things like this. But it still needs some game design and figuring out how to do it without ruining your info of the battlefield or your responses.
It needs sort of clever programming or design, because you don't want it to be annoying. You don't want the camera always to be looking in the wrong direction at the wrong target. Another thing that's we've had a prototype. We had it up and running in-house, but it doesn't perform well enough, and there are some issues that we need to resolve technically before we can use it. Is showing picture-in-picture, so that the ship that you currently have selected or something like that, you get a proper zoomed-in close-up of that ship. That would also allow you to enjoy the ships more. So you still have your view of the battlefield, but you get a zoomed-in view of your enemy and can see the punishment that you're instilling on him.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Hi, I was wondering if you guys, when you redo capital ships, are going to be doing more animated ships in general. I mean, for example, triage carriers don't have an animation, whereas dreads and siege and rorquals and their funny siege thing do. Like carriers could close up their little fighter bays or something, since they can't launch fighters. Or
so more animations on big ships.
I think people like the rorqual animation and all that stuff, and you don't get to see it very often.
Yeah.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt the art panel, but we actually have the live Dust Finals starting right now, and we wanted to bring that to you. Don't worry, the art panel will be fully on YouTube.